everyone. Welcome to Dear Shamika, the podcast where we challenge perspectives. Today, I have the amazing J. Michael Crawford with us. He is someone that has definitely helped me in identifying a lot of my flaws and really being aware of them. So, he is not only a life coach, he's a pastor. I will, I guess I'll allow him to introduce himself. Go ahead, Mr. Crawford.
Well, I'm Jay. I go by J. Michael Crawford because my first name is James. And I'm in ministry involved in helping people. We have basically our mission statement is a shorter version would be our goal is to help others find and live their purpose as we seek to excel in our own. And we believe that motivation is different for different people. The goal is to get people motivated, not so much emotionally excited, but motivated. So, because see, sometimes motivation comes from different things. Often we're more motivated by anger than really anything else. And sometimes people don't realize that. And it's not all about the excitement. But what we're here to do is get people to challenge life, as we say in the end of the mission statement, to new heights, to challenge themselves to keep growing. Because as long as you're growing, you will continue to find ways to be happy, and be fulfilled in life. So,
Okay. So, what do you feel about somebody that says, I can't do better or it doesn't get better for me? What would you say? Like, if I was somebody who approached you and said, like, my life is just bad and it won't get any better?
well, from because I believe in a God perspective, and most people that I talk to really do talk about God, I would point out to them that what they're doing is actually insulting God's creation.
Wow.
Yeah. When a lot of us don't realize we're insulting what he created in us to say we can't do better. Not to mention that statistically and scientifically, it's been proven that we use very little of the capabilities that we have as human beings. We don't use the brain power we have. The bottom line is we can constantly expand. So basically, it's just simply not true. It's just simply not true. And that's what I would say to them. It's not true. And it is something that God definitely wouldn't want you to think of yourself. It may be difficult. Sometimes I tell people there are things that are simple, but not easy.
Wow.
Yeah.
I know my biggest issue when I initially was emotional responding, like to a person, because I didn't even know that I was doing it. And when you pointed it out, I realized it was impacting me in several different areas of my life. So, what advice would you give to a person? Like, first of all, what is emotional responding? And what advice would you give to somebody who is doing it?
Well, emotional responding is just what it says from my perspective. Responding from the emotion based on how you feel. The issue with that is you're not seeking the result that you may necessarily want. You're doing what you feel at the time, but you're not directing it toward a particular result. When you respond or act, because I really do like the word act more than respond, and I will probably get into that a little bit later. But when you act, every action will have a reaction. Your response is an action. So it's going to have a counteraction. Something is coming back. So even though something happened to you first that caused you to have an emotion, when you act, that act is going to bring something back to you. Is in what I call in the law of reciprocity, we what we sow. What you put out is what comes back. So emotional responding is just going from I feel this way, and so I'm going to act on that. The issue with that, and I don't want to go too far because I want to kind of follow your questioning more than I just want
No, you go deep
to.
because
Okay.
people need to hear it.
Because we don't realize how much people say they want to be happy and we want to have certain things. But in order for us to create those things, we have to have a certain level of control, over our existence. Well, when we constantly go around telling ourselves that someone made me mad or they made me this, we are telling ourselves that we had no choice but to respond in a particular way. Well, if a particular act made someone angry, then it would be reasonable, I think, to say that it would make everybody respond the same way. But a particular act may affect one person and not another one in the same situation. Would you agree?
Man, I just have to speak to how you helped me. It helped when you brought awareness to it. It's like mentally the situation was bigger in my mind than it really was. And because I gave so much power to it, it's like I would always think about it and I would always look for validation from other people. And you were the only person that didn't give me the validate. Like, other people like, man, they wrong. You're not.
Yeah.
Other
And
people
let me
like,
say
man,
this.
that person was wrong. They did you wrong. So that fed for my need to tell other people so that they could make me feel good, but it wasn't solving anything. And you said, like, every time I try, I said, but you don't understand. You said you're responding like you were just you're emotionally responding. You're responding emotionally. And that was you really didn't give power to what I'm saying. And you wouldn't really listen to me have a pity party. And then I realized, wow, this is impact. And then I started to see other areas that it was impacting me in my life. So it definitely helped me.
Okay. And see, the thing of that, like you were saying, I'm not necessarily saying people think that when you don't give in to their pity party, and I'll say, I think that sometimes you need to have a pity party. You just need to put a very strong limit on how long, because you need to get it out. 15, 20 minutes. Some people will be longer, but know that you're having a pity party. Because understand that all you're doing is getting out your pity feelings for yourself. It's not going to change the situation. The other thing I want to say is that I am not saying, and people often think that I am not saying that what the people did is not wrong. I am not saying you were not done wrong. It's not about what they did. It's about taking back the control from what they're able to continue to do to you. And people, we tend to have this thing where if I don't tell you how wrong they are, then I'm saying that they're right. You follow me? No, I'm not saying that what someone did to you is right or wrong. If it is, there's some things that are really wrong. The question is, how much control do you want it to have over you? And it's a tough mind space, for people to decide to be in. But everything is like that. I can even more than anything else, believe it or not, Shamika, we really do question God, and a lot of times people are more angry with God than they realize.
Wow.
Yeah, because there are some situations where we don't think are fair, and we've been told that life is fair. I won't get deep into this, but recently my wife passed, and it is a tough challenge sometimes to process, the why of something like that. But I may never understand, the exact why, but who would you blame? Who could you blame if God is in control? And if you stay in that blame space too long, it will destroy any faith you have in him for anything else.
Wow.
You follow me?
Mm-hmm.
And people don't realize they're destroying their own faith, because if you believe that God is ultimately in control and you're believing that he allowed something to happen that was unjust to you, how are you going to go forward really trusting him? There's this idea that I trusted him, but I'll keep saying I trust him, but he let this thing happen. So I don't know. So it's just a matter of understanding that the things that we can't control, the things that we can control, we need to control. That's the only way we'll get where we want to go. Yeah. And it can't get easier too. We are capable. I can't say enough. I'm glad you asked the question at the beginning. What would I say to someone who said that they can't get better? That's just not possible. We can. And we can achieve states of mind that are way better than we ever thought.
Okay. So to someone, they say, Mr. J. Michael Crawford, I'm ready to change my life. What is the first step?
Find out where you are and give thought to where you want to go.
Wow.
You have to give. Most people do not have a plan. We've been talking this week about goals. And I've been asking people about goals. And you know what I found? Shamika, a lot of people have dreams, but they don't have goals.
What's the difference?
Dreams are things you see that you want to happen. Goals are things that you plan to make happen.
I told y'all he cold. Wow.
See, you need dreams. You need goals you need dreams to set goals. But you need goals to accomplish your dreams.
Wow.
Otherwise, they remain dreams.
How would you define, like you said, some people don't have plan. Like, what would be an example of somebody who has a dream, but they definitely have no plan? Like, could you give like a scenario where somebody had a dream, but it wasn't necessarily a plan, so that it can kind of be broken down in layman's terms for people that don't necessarily understand?
Yeah, people are, for example, everybody now wants to think very big. And this is a thing that I see is holding a lot of people back. They are not being realistic because they think being realistic is not faith. They think, let's just think huge. Okay. But that's a dream because you don't have any idea how you're going to get there. It all of that depends on magic, miracles, fortune. God has to like me. It may come along and it may not. But goals have to do with incremental accomplishments that are getting you closer to there. And see, faith is the idea of persistence. If you really believe you can get to the dream, then you set the goals to get there. If you said that California is a long ways away, and if you say, well, basically right now I want to go to California, and people have done this, they don't know how, but they want to get there. If they really believe they can get there, some people will start off walking. Even if they only walk to the bus station. The goal is to get to the bus station. You get to the bus station, maybe there will be someone going that way. See, we start using the intelligence and our abilities. The old saying, if you take one step, God will make two. Well, the one step is the goal. The dream, an example of so many people talking about, I want to make uh, 100. I want to have $100 million. Okay, that's good. What will you need to know if you had 100 million? What would life look like? Most people think the romanticizing of the idea is that I'm going to get to a state where I'm going to have something and I'm going to be no different than I am now. That's not possible. I will guarantee you in your own life, as you continue to endeavor to grow in the things that you do, you are already hearing people say, you're changing. You're acting funny.
Wow.
Have you not? In
Yeah.
some cases. And if not careful, you'll make an effort to stay the same.
I was at first, you called me out on that too.
Yeah. See, if you keep, what is it that we keep saying we want life to change, and then we keep saying I'm making efforts to stay the same?
Wow.
I just don't, it's not logical. So I'm trying to answer the question you gave. It is people dreaming of thinking really, really, really big.
With no
And
plan.
then when you ask them, okay, well, what's your first step? And they have no idea. Because they don't know what they're going to do first. Well, it's obvious now. They don't really plan to get there. And here's what starts to happen. People start to talk about, well, I need, and then they get perpetually into classes and learning and information, because every day they think they need more and more and more information, which over time we do. But the reality is most people have enough information to start right now. They really do. But it's a very good excuse to say, I don't know. The number one thing, I was saying to someone the other day, how irritating it is when we're parents and we had teenage children, which I don't anymore because mine are adults. But when they go, no matter what you ask them, it's, I don't know. I don't know. Nobody helped me. I thought about, there was a man sitting by the pool of Bethesda, I think it was, and Jesus came and he was crippled, because the story was that at a certain time, the angel came. And when the angel troubled the water, the first one in after that, would receive a healing. So the man was there and waiting for the healing. He had been there 38 years. So Jesus approached him and asked him, do you want to be healed? And he began to answer the way that I think most people do. He began to explain to Jesus what happens to him every time. Well, I'm crippled. And so every time the angel comes, I don't move fast enough, and someone else always gets in before me. But that was not what he asked him. He asked him, do you want to be well?
Wow.
It's interesting to me when I start helping people, the challenge is they start to realize that they had no idea what they wanted. That's what's most interesting. And most of them don't know how to tell you. Like, if I ask the question of anyone listening now, what is it? What is something you really want to do in life? You really want to do, if you could do anything you wanted to do every day, what activity would you participate in every day? They start thinking, and you know what usually they're trying to figure out? What are the best occupations? That's not what I asked, though.
Wow.
What did I ask?
You asked what's something that they want to do every day. Something they
would love to do. I didn't ask you anything about making money, did I?
No.
And most people can't answer because they're trying to figure out how they can make money. So they may say, well, I thought about being a fireman. I thought about being, that's not what I asked you. What would you love to do every day? And when you can answer that question, then you'll begin to be able to kind of see where you want to go. But somebody right now is probably even saying, but that's unrealistic. How are you going to make a living doing what you want to do? People do it every single day.
Mm.
I like to talk, as you can see. I make my living doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Earlier on, I didn't think I could. And all I really set out to do, and I have some higher goals that they never end. Remember, the reality is your aspirations should never cease. They keep rising. So, but the reality is my goal was to be able to make a living doing something I love to do.
Mm-hmm.
First, when you hear from different, I often think about Denzel Washington and other people who have been very successful. They say all they really wanted to do was make a good living in their craft. Yeah, doing something they love to do every day. It is hard for most people to imagine, even though they say well, I want to be this, I want to be that. Do you realistic? Are you willing to believe that you can do that? That's the question. Okay.
Wow. Wow. A lot of people really don't, and I've talked about that before. Like, people don't understand being a robot to life. Just waking up, brushing your teeth, washing your face, dropping the kids off, and doing wishing your days away.
Excuse me.
So basically, you're saying, like, once you identify what it is you want to do, you won't have to wish how people, you wake up in the morning, I can't wait to get off work. Mm-hmm. I'm so tired. I can't wait till 5 o'clock, and you wish your days away because you really don't enjoy your life because you're living for the weekend. I remember I worked in the warehouse. I used to play that song every Friday, living for the weekend. I was like, man, I can't wait to I hated that job. So I think a lot of people feel a sense of stuck.
And
but they really don't know that there's a way out. And then you see, now we live in a community of instant gratification because we see social media. So then you see this person on social media, you see they're, oh man, it looks like happy. They're doing this. I want to do what they're doing. So how do you identify your own purpose versus you trying to compare your purpose to someone else's?
One, we need to stop. I was saying this to myself this morning. Stop romanticizing what you don't know.
Wow.
What I mean by that is, see, it's easy to look at something you don't have and think it's better than it is. It's kind of like people who are not married really can look at married people and say, oh, it must be so wonderful to be married and have someone there with you all the time. And then sometimes the people who are married are saying, you just don't know what it's like to always have to ask somebody for the remote or you account every time you want to go somewhere. You know what I'm saying?
Uh-huh.
Everybody can see the other side is better. Mm-hmm. I was talking to someone the other day about who grew up without being in the home with their father. Well, they can imagine that the children that grew up with the father, they imagine the hugs and the kisses and all the things they would have wanted. And they actually think that those ones that grew up with him got those things. But it depends on the kind of man he was. They may have gotten insulted. They may have not gotten treated well at all. Do you understand? But it's so easy to imagine that someone else's situation is better than yours. And then the danger of Facebook is that,
wow,
people are going to show you the best side of it, especially when we're marketing. Mm-hmm. I mean, we're only going to. This is something I think about often. Not an insult, but I just want y'all to think about this. Why do we have so many people doing business? Because a lot of us are coming up, a lot of young people, I watch them make money and do different things. But why are there so many people in business and then so many people need their credit repaired too? I mean, if they're doing that well, why are they always in a hole on the other side? Do you follow me? See, the reality is to me is to get people to understand, stabilize. And the only way you're going to stabilize is to do what's best for you. You have to do, but in order to do what's best for you, you got to be willing to look at yourself. And believe it or not, the last person most of us want to see is us. That may sound strange, but you got to learn to like yourself. That's why we do self-esteem on Mondays. Mm-hmm. Self-esteem. What do you think of you? I know we're all going to have things we like to change about ourselves, or we would like to be better. But do you love you enough to work with you? You know, you have what it takes if you're willing to work with yourself. You got to work with you. You got to love you enough to fall down and get you back up. And stop looking for someone else to give you an encouraging word. Because sometimes the word they give will truly be encouraging, and sometimes it will be flattery, and it will help you stay right where you are. Wow. It is a challenge being honest. Like you say to me, you know, you say to me, I had a friend of mine.
You are the most honest. If you want the truth, Mr. Crawford is going to give, and it's not, you know, out of hate, it's out of love, and it's going to push you to the next level. A lot of things he said, like, if I would have not listened to him, because one of the things I wanted to kind of, I don't want to dumb down the show, but I kind of wanted to bring it down so that people could understand. He said, why would you do that? That's a disservice to yourself. Not only you, but it's a disservice to those who are listening to you. He said the right people will listen. Those who want to get to the next level will listen. So I can't water it down, but somebody else would have been like, you're doing a good job. You know? So that we need that accountability, because a lot of us are missing our next level blessing because we want to stay where we are, because everyone's giving us a pat on the back and telling us, man, you're doing so good, but I'm not doing great. I'm not at that next. I'm down. I'm right here, but I could be up here. But you can't live off the compliments. You gotta hold yourself accountable, as Mr. Crawford said.
Right. Yeah. It's just the logic. Mm-hmm. I believe that. Think about this. If you're dumbing something down for the person, wouldn't the logic be because you think they're somewhat dumb?
Wow.
Yes or no? See, you're not giving them credit for having the ability to understand. Mm-hmm. And most of us do that, especially with children. Children are, you know, if you can think back, you'll remember things that were said or done in front of you that people don't think you understood. Where sometimes grown-ups will have their children, and there are things that you think they don't understand until one day they may just, you know, say, well, Mama, I saw you do so-and-so. And then Mama goes, shut up, you know, because she's upset. But the reality is they understand a lot more. Mm-hmm. Humans are capable. And because I believe you're capable. Now, here's what I do believe, because I had this situation before. I had a child that we were dealing with, and I was talking to someone about this a couple of days ago, that I thought was very intelligent. And she had behavior that did not reflect the level that I thought she should be on. So rather than just to start pushing her and, you know, get the belt and beat them,
wow,
we need to have all the tests done. And so that's what we did. We had the child, we went through the test, all of the things. And when they discovered, no, there's nothing wrong with her intelligence. There's no learning disability, none of that. Because what I like to do is, believe it or not, I don't push, we wouldn't push everybody at the same pace. Mm-hmm. you push people at their pace.
Wow.
The reason I would challenge you, Shamika, is I see more in you than you see in yourself. If I didn't think someone could accept the challenge,
Yeah.
I would not push them. You know, you don't ask, a good teacher asks their students to be the best he believes they can be. Most of us don't realize when you don't ask a person to be better, it is because you're literally saying to them, I don't believe in you either.
Wow.
So it's not about me. And if I'm going to coach you, it's not about you liking me. It's about me getting you where you want to go.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll go back to that child. What happens once I discovered that there were no disabilities that were ones that we had to really contend with or deal with. Now it's time to just put the challenge in. You're just being stubborn.
Right.
It's just being stubborn, and the growth started to occur. Now, did the child like it? No. But as the scripture says in Hebrews, none of us like discipline in the beginning. I mean, you are saying today that the things that I said to you, we both know at the time that I said them seemed very offensive.
Oh. I was like, I was trying to get you to understand why. And it was almost like a victim. I almost had like victim mind, and I didn't even know it. And that's why I said you guys is so important. Like, Mr. Crawford is the best of the best. He has self-esteem calls, which we'll get in. He's gonna plug those in later. But it is strategic, it is intentional. And I was all over the place because I was a victim. And because somebody was able to identify one of my victim traits, which was emotional responding, because victims emotionally respond. They are, it's everybody else, it's never them. So we have to get out of that mindset. And when you're a victim and somebody call you out, you gonna call me out? What? It just changed there because I really wanted him to just be like, man, they wrong for that.
Yeah. I'm working every day to create an environment where we're accountable to each other.
Mm-hmm.
The group of people that I'm around, we're accountable to each other. See, we've all, I don't want to say all, so many people, I believe, without verbally saying it, have agreed that we're not going to call each other out, okay? Let's just make each other feel good. You know, when you say something and bring out a truth, why do we call it the ugly truth? You know? Or why do we have to why do we have to get to the go off point before we tell people, look, you gonna mess around and make me tell you how I really feel?
Wow.
Oh, so you've been lying.
Wow.
Huh? Well, you told me I'm gonna make you tell me how you really feel, right?
Wow.
So what have you been telling me up to this point? Do you see how we've kind of agreed that lying is okay? Let's just make each other feel okay. Mm-hmm. But remember, we always talk about in order to grow, you have to get out of the comfort zone, right? Mm-hmm. Well, how are you going to do that if we keep making each other comfortable? We need the discomfort. You know, when I went to the bank, used to go to the bank and had to fill out an application and had to wait because they had to have further review of my application because of my status. Mm-hmm. That's uncomfortable to me. I did not like it. And every time something like that happened, I said, this is not going to be my situation next time. Whatever I need to do, this won't be my situation. See, and when we began to, my goal is to raise the bottom. But see, people are not going to change until it hits them. Like there's the story of the mailman that was walking by and he stopped to give a man his mail, and the man had a dog lying beside him on the porch. And the dog was just moaning and howling and groaning. And he asked, he said, "Sir, why is your dog howling and moaning?" He said, "Because he's lying on a nail." He said, "Well, why doesn't he get off?" He said, "Because he's not hurting bad enough to get off." See, if we create an environment where past due light bills are okay, bad credit, we literally, as people of color, a lot of times just make jokes about, "Oh yeah, we got bad credit. I see your skin is getting lighter and your score numbers, credit score is going up. I see your skin lightening as your credit score goes up." Just silly stuff like that.
I'm laughing because it's true. We do,
And,
and you see memes about people's credit out, and it's just
right.
laughable.
But see, you got to understand, when you see those things and laugh, you're programming yourself. You are accepting. When somebody likes you, when boys like little girls or whatever, girls like boys, they pick on them, don't you?
Yeah.
When you're little.
Yeah.
And they push, and then you ever been around the guys that they make suggestions, but they're kind of like, "Nelly, I'm just playing unless you're going to do it." See, subtly, and Satan is more subtle than any creature.
Wow.
He is seeing, what can I get you to accept? And if you'll keep hearing it and keep hearing it, it settles in. You may say, "I don't really believe that." Yeah, but why are you listening? You understand? If I can get you to listen to music, I'm not criticizing the music one way or the other, but if you're riding around listening to music that's calling you a H word and a B word all day long, and you're not offended by it, you know what I'm saying? How long is it going to be before somebody is able to call you one and you think nothing of it?
Mm.
So if I keep listening to talk about being broke, sick, all these things that God said I wasn't supposed to be, incapable, after a while, that's how a person gets to the point where they start saying, "I can't do anything about it." If I keep saying, "Man, they made me mad, they made me mad, they made me mad," in my mind, I'm beginning to believe they did it.
Wow.
You follow me?
You
Faith
know
comes
I
from you.
am, but man, it changed my. Y'all have to. This is one thing that I learned. You have to be teachable.
Yeah.
When someone, and it stings at first, but then when it settles in, your life will be transformed forever. That one piece of advice that he gave me changed my entire life. And I'm gonna give y'all a little secret. If y'all pay attention, whenever I write a post, I'll ask for thoughts and I never give mine. That's because I'm controlling my emotions. Y'all look at the arguing in my comments, it's making my views go up. Your debate, I never debate because that's me controlling the narrative. And people don't even know that I got that from you. They don't even know it's strategic. It's not, it's not by mistake. It's on purpose. It's me, like some days I may have a bad moment. I'm like, I'm not going to have a bad day because I'm not going to give into that.
Right.
But it's intentional. Like I became more intentional once I became aware that I was doing things to sabotage my own emotions.
Yeah. And it amazes me because from the perspective, I have to say that the biggest thing for me is I value the life that I have in Christ. And I believe that Christ in us, which is the power of God in us, is the hope of glory. Not from a religious perspective. I believe, we go back and say God created the world. Well, if God created the world, then he knows what will work in it. I just believe that. It's logic to me. It's very simple in terms of thought. Now, am I saying I always do exactly what I should do? Absolutely not.
Mm-hmm.
I deal with pity parties. As I said earlier, because I told you about, the deal with my wife passing or whatever. There are times when I want to feel, on one hand, I want to feel sorry for myself. I resist the urge to give that information to people. You know, like when I go places and people are asking me things, sometimes you want to take the conversation there. You ever ran across a person that within 5 minutes of talking to them, they're going to tell you their life's tragedy? You know what I mean? Within 5 minutes, they're going to let you know. Everybody they've talked to is going to know that that my woman did me wrong, or my husband left me with 13 kids, or whatever it is, because they're going to make sure you know that. They are feeding themselves with that. And if you keep being fed by that, that's what gives them the thing to go on. But it won't make the situation any better. So I challenge people, and I want to be challenged. That's the thing I have to say. I really do want to be challenged. I love truth, even when it hurts me. I mean, if you hurt my feelings, then, you know, well, actually, I always say it this way. If you hurt my feelings, it was me hurting my feelings. Because as the spinners used to say, you can't color a thought, and you sure can't touch an emotion. You know, the song, there's a song that was Love Don't Love Nobody.
Wow.
But in the little dialogue he gave, he said, the truth I've learned since the time I was a child is, baby, you can't color a thought, and you sure can't touch an emotion. So how can you hurt my feelings if you can't touch my emotions? I have to decide that what you are doing is offensive enough to me that I'm going to let it hurt me, rather than find the truth in it. I'm working on this even more now than I used to. And I apologize for the noise, y'all.
No worries.
Somebody, they're outside doing yard work. I thought they were done, but anyway. So hopefully you can still hear me.
Mm-hmm.
But we have to do the work of wanting, and I've got some people around me who, man, we have to work through conversations at times. Because being raised the way we were raised and the things we've learned, 10 minutes in, it'll get intense. And our pride and egos get raised up. And I said, now, what we're going to do is we're not going to stop. We're going to keep going. We're going to keep going. And when we get past that, what we get to is an understanding that's synergistic, which means 1 + 1 can equal 25. See, if two people can really get together, the Bible says one can put 1,000 to flight, but two, 10,000. But the problem is most people are too busy being offended, especially men and women, fighting each other for position.
Yeah.
You're wrong. I'm wrong. It's the men. It's the women.
Man,
in a lot of ways.
Absolutely. I just talked about that. And we don't want to hold ourselves accountable because, like I said, that was my issue. It's that person. They're wrong. And they did this. It's never, what can I do to better this situation? Because a lot of people will do it, and a lot of people have kids, and kids suffer because you want to be right. Kids suffer because of adult egos.
And we hold them back so much. So many stories I think of, Shamika. There was a thing I heard that a flea could jump 4 feet. 4 feet. You know, they really do jump a lot, but they could jump 4 feet. But if you took a family, a group of fleas, a bunch of them, and put them in a mason jar, and the jar was 4 inches tall, and they lived, what would happen is when they jumped, they would start, the earlier ones would hit the top. Okay. After hitting the top so many times, when they multiplied or had offspring, they would teach the offspring not to jump 4 inches, because at 4 inches is pain. So they would teach them, go about 3 3/4. even though something inside of them knows that they really just need to get the lid off. And it's hard to find people who understand. So our children are capable of great things until we teach them our logic that dumbs them down.
Yeah. I promise y'all, I got a sad story too. Like, the thing of, I'm not a victim, but I have a sad story too.
Okay.
I just refuse to allow my sad story to prevent me from getting where I need to go. And also, I've had amazing mentors such as Mr. Crawford and several other people. I'm teachable. So we have to get out of the mentality of I'm grown. I'm grown is holding a lot of people back because people use I'm grown as justification.
Grown means over.
Grown,
if something is growing, that means it's continuing, right? If it's grown, that means whatever you're referring to has passed.
Wow.
You understand? I have grown.
Wow.
But I'm forever growing. I will never be grown. I have grown and I am growing. And I like to say this about the sad story. I'm not telling people not to tell your story because someone is encouraged by your story. Like, I'm encouraged by seeing you continue the way you've continued. Because, to be honest, what I've seen you grow through from where I met you is absolutely amazing. And the boldness that you're demonstrating, I'm really proud of it. I appreciate you giving me some credit.
Man,
having part in that. I don't,
you know. I mean, y'all, we had to have him on the show. Game changer, taught me the meaning of accountability and not feeling sorry for yourself, and a person not feeling sorry for you because they know you're. And I don't want to cry, but that's what this platform is about. I'm from poverty. I had a father who was incarcerated. My mother, I love my mom. She's a warehouse associate. So we live in a cycle, and it's time to break that cycle and stop looking for pity parties. Yeah. I see on my timeline people complaining all day, but then they'll get in situations to distract them from their purpose. Then they'll complain about that not working out. It's like, when are you gonna change it? Yeah. You want everybody to listen to your story, but then when you get an out, it's like, well, I just can't, life is so hard. Yeah, you do that like in church. Man, life's so hard. The victim, if y'all listen to him, y'all probably be offended because he speaks from a standpoint of it's so many people that are victims and don't know and don't even know that they're victims. They don't even know what a victim mindset is.
Right. So we're never limited. We can do all things through Christ. Some things are not easy.
Man,
all things I think are pretty simple. Not easy. But I had a funny situation. I was in Atlanta a couple of weeks ago. Yeah, a couple of weeks ago. And we got into an Uber. One of my daughters and I. And I started talking to the lady. And it was interesting. I said, how are you? And she started telling her story. She's been in Atlanta, in that area. We were actually in an area of Atlanta, surrounding Atlanta. But she started telling me the story of where she lives and how horrible the place is.
The Uber driver?
Oh yeah, and she's been there 45 years, and it's miserable. And you don't want to move here because the people here are terrible. They'll turn on you. And when my mother died, nobody was there for me. And when I came here, I couldn't stand it when I came. They made me leave my first boyfriend. I had to leave my friends. Now, this lady was telling this story. This lady went to Atlanta when she was 16. She was now in her 60s. She made a decision to be so angry that she still reliving that every day today. And she's blaming other people because they don't want to hear it. You know, I have no problem listening to her story. Now, what was funny is you think I was direct. My daughter was in there, so she started talking to her. She said, "Well, baby, how are your kids or whatever?" And she asked her a few questions. The woman got angry. She said, "Oh, she said, now you want if you want to really get personal into my business."
No, she didn't.
She did. And I had to stop. It was Kelly that was with me. I had to stop. I said, "Look, we're gonna leave this alone."
The lady said you was in her. Wow. So it's like I want to complain to you and tell you all my business, but don't ask me my business.
And what and they were
that's
going.
What
so,
people do.
Yeah. So Kelly went back and I stopped her.
You better not ask what's wrong.
But she told her later. She said, "Hey, listen, you don't get to drop your garbage on me.
Wow.
And I say nothing. You don't get to do that. No. If I listen to you, you don't get to just pour that out on me. I got in here for a ride. If you get to pour that poison on me, I got the right to get it off."
Wow.
And she was right. See, and that's all I do is this. If you come to me, I am a helper.
Right.
Okay. You're not going to just sit and tell me the story and leave it with me. Now, if you want to pay, like I do counseling, and when people come to me, if they want to pay me $100 an hour, $50 an hour to just say, "Well, I just want to give you this money and talk to you for 30 minutes. Okay, cool. Understand, I'm not going to try to help you, right? Because we've decided that you don't want to hear what I say.
Wow.
So one rule is this. If you come to me, then you came to me because you want to hear my version and my advice. Is that right?
Absolutely.
So if you came to me to help you fix something and don't want to listen to me, then we're both wasting our time. And so I don't continue to do that.
Wow.
Not for money, not for anything, but if you pay me enough, I just want you to listen. And we have an understanding that you don't really want help per se. You just want to have me listen, then I'll do that. But we need to do that with an understanding.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But if you start talking to me, I'm going to say what I think.
Oh, he is most definitely. Man, if y'all want to transition or change your life, man, you need to book Mr. Crawford. You need to go to his church, which will give you the information to. Actually, I'm going to put the information at the top of the video at the end, so that if anyone wants to dial in, you want self-esteem coaching, because some people's self-esteem is depleted and some people are running on low. So you'll have a system of people holding you accountable, or you'll get. And then the thing I love about Mr. I call him Mr. Michael, but the thing I love about him is it's all about growth. You're not just going to get a sermon just to say, "Oh, I went to church." It's life changing. He talks wealth. He talks just changing for
life is holistic. And I'll say this by way of plug. I never teach without taking questions. Never. Not Sunday morning, not Tuesday night. We have a link where you can listen to us live stream. Actually, tomorrow morning we have a meeting at 8:30. And we always give a number where you can text in questions live. Now, the stream, your question may be slightly behind or something, but we do open forum. And if you really want to change, this is a place to be. You would think a lot of people listening saying, "Man, I bet there's a lot of people there." No, because what you'll find, not a lot of people want to be challenged. People are capable of what they want to do, but they want to continue to pretend that they want to do it, and it's not possible. And I just simply won't allow that. It's not true. It's just not true. A lot of it, you're calling God a liar if you're saying that we're not capable of something.
Mm-hmm.
And all things are possible to the one that believes.
Mm-hmm.
You know, do situations. Well, why is it that so many? Because they're obviously not willing to do what it takes. If one person does it, that's proof that it can be done.
Wow, come on now.
Right?
Now that just hit me because I've been saying it all week.
Yeah.
And when I look at people, when you look at people and you see them succeeding, you should get excited because their proof
Yeah.
can be done. Yes,
Yeah.
man. Like
Yeah.
I see all
If
these
one,
successful people and I get excited and they're like, why are you so excited? I'm like, because your proof it can be done. So
yeah.
I'm celebrating because I'm next. So yeah, we have to have a celebratory man. Man, I've been saying that all week. That's confirmation. That's awesome.
Yeah. So we want to be the people to do it. I want to be an example of, see, it's not so much for me about, I think that the prosperity part, there does not need to be, biblically speaking, there does not need to be a prosperity doctrine because discipline and good work prospers. Period. People are trying to pull out, I think people are looking for shortcuts. That's sometimes why they're studying so much. See, knowledge, you know, I want the three basic steps to getting here. Listen, Shamika, here's what you are learning.
Mm-hmm.
No matter what information I give you, I can help you get there sooner, but you don't get anywhere until you begin to act on the information.
Oh no, it takes a lot of groundwork.
Yeah, it's what you go through.
Yes,
that you grow through.
Come on now.
So you have to start the journey. And most people are ready. So I'll say to anybody, if you're ready to start the journey, I can help you. I used to tell people, give me 6 months, we'll change your life. I promise you, 6 months. But most people come, 6 months. Yeah, but in that 6 months, you have to listen. If you listen, we'll get there. I promise you. If you'll listen to some simple advice and trust God. I don't really necessarily even ask people to trust me. I ask them to trust God because the principles that I teach are biblical. Always. Not religious, biblical.
Can you break down the difference for those who may be like, what's the difference between religious and biblical?
Man, we would be all day, but the basic is this. We have developed a religion, a religious system in this country where we divide God from his creation.
Wow.
The Bible, if you read it, is not a book about religion. Okay? It's a book of stories involving kings, princes, wars, armies, men, women of all kinds, right? It's a book of their stories. It didn't happen inside of a church. It didn't happen within a religion. It happened in many cities, in a geographic region, over different places. It interacts with the government. It involves politics. And when we go back to the beginning and say, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Okay, what does it mean when he created the heavens and the earth? It means he created the heavens and the earth. So if he started it all, then why wouldn't he have the best advice about it? So, but when we put it in a religious setting, we tend to think, just like people will tell me, there are a lot of people who think I don't understand their particular situation because, say, like you were saying, they feel like I don't know where they came from. But yeah, see, you have this situation. Yeah, but you don't know how I was raised. And you don't know what I came through.
Judgmental
yeah.
That also speaks to when you reach different, because somebody told me I didn't understand because I'm privileged. I'm like,
wow.
So as you get to different levels, people will start judging you based upon the lack of information. Because I'm also a really private person. Like everything I put on Facebook is about my brand.
Mm-hmm.
because people will try to piece together who you are. They'll sniff. So I put everything is to help and support everyone in growing or to bring attention to my brand. So they'll, oh, she must be like this or she must be like that, and then they'll compare their situation to this
You know
person's
what they're
situation.
doing? You know what they're doing? You
Uh-uh.
know what they are
What
doing?
are they doing?
Justifying failure.
Wow. Wow. Wow.
See, if you always have something I didn't have,
Wow.
see, if I say, well, Shamika, you did this, yeah, but and you say, well, Mr. Mike, you can do that too. And I said,
Mm-hmm.
well, Shamika, I could, but see, my mama didn't hug me when I was
Wow.
little like
Come
your
on,
mama hugged me.
man, look. And
Well,
my
see,
daddy was in jail.
it
Like my
doesn't,
daddy was in and out of jail. My dad was on drugs. Like a lot of people don't know that, which is why I advocate for children. Like I was posting about like little tidbits, not
right,
from a judgmental standpoint, but from a child's perspective. From me growing up as a child with an incarcerated parent. So people don't know that my dad was in and out of jail because I don't talk like he's no longer with us, rest in peace.
right.
But if I talk about him, I'm honoring him, but I'm not like my daddy was in jail, so but I will advocate like kids need fathers. So I will talk about kids needing fathers or kids needing mothers or
But they need,
being an
let me,
active parent and just not
right.
being there but being active. So people know
But
it's
see,
because I was
here's
I,
my thing on that. We have to really have open minds. I am not very this or that.
mm-hmm,
Like, a child needs his dad in his life. Well,
mm-hmm.
that depends. What is his daddy gonna teach him?
Wow.
See,
Wow.
I know a lot of very good men now who I was raised with coming up, who did not have their fathers in their life per se.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the reason they're better men. Because they decided to be men. Because they wanted to be there for their mother. You follow what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Think
So,
of all professional athletes whose fathers were not around. And then the stories behind what these men were not. LeBron James, Kevin Hart.
yeah, because my he
You
was
can
on
go on and
drugs.
on.
I
Well,
love my
see,
dad, but he was on drugs.
and they learned to love their dads.
Mm-hmm.
What if he had been there, though?
Mm-hmm.
What if he had taken them around? This is who we are. Boy, this is what we do. And taught him all of his bad habits. See, just having someone there.
It has to be of substance.
Right. And to say a mother can't raise a son, that's not true.
Mm.
I've seen mothers raise some fantastic sons. Matter of fact, the average, when you see a man most of the time be successful, who's he gonna think?
Oh, his mother.
His mother, because she was the one who was there. She can raise a son as long as she realizes she's not a man. All she has to be is who she is.
Mm-hmm.
God makes a way. The grace of God covers all of the areas where we're making excuses.
Man,
The grace of God covers all the areas where we're making excuses. Yep. His grace is sufficient. Yeah, he knew we were going to come short. So all
y'all,
you have to
he will do miraculous. Man, God is so good. He will do miraculous things. I'm super like this excites me because God will do something in such a way to where you say, man, I know there was nobody but God. He will open doors and make ways for you once you put your best foot forward. Like things, like once you get the plan and start putting the work in motion, things will fall. Like I've seen it, things will just start falling in place.
right.
And it's exciting. Y'all should be excited. Y'all should look at this live and be excited because your lives will be you've just been introduced to someone that's a vessel of God that is willing to support you in transforming your life.
Right. So
That's why I'm so excited. I'm excited.
Well, good. Me too. Me too. Every day the people that work with me will tell you, we go back and forth on some things. They understand that I love them.
Mm-hmm.
And that is why I challenge them.
Mm-hmm.
But for anyone coming to me or coming to hear me, I used to say in the beginning of ministry, I first try to run them off. I don't mean I intentionally try to run you off, but I'm coming at you strong from the very beginning.
Oh man. Oh man.
Because I need to know that you want to be involved.
Mm-hmm.
If I can make you quit, and I'm not talking about being cruel, I'm talking about just by truth.
Mm-hmm.
If you quit that early, we were going to waste a lot of time anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I'd rather see you quit early and then walk away and think about it, because many have walked away and say, man, man, he get on my nerves. I don't like it. And then they come back. Yeah, I don't like how you said what you said. I need to hear it.
Yep.
So I'm going to put the emotion aside.
Yep.
I'm not going to respond emotionally.
Yeah, man. That one thing was I want to pose you guys with this question. What is that one? It's one thing that may be holding you back from your next level. What's holding you back? And my thing, like I said previously, my one thing was emotional responding. I had no, it was like I was functioning in chaos and didn't even know it.
Yeah.
Because nobody was telling me. And some people that you're around may benefit from you functioning in chaos, because some people like that you're right here. Because by comparison, I had people when God started really blessing me and showing up in my life, certain people just fell off. Yeah. Because people will put you in a box, and when you exceed where they expect you to be, then they don't want to be around you anymore because you're too successful.
Right. And they
too good. So you have to surround yourself around people that want to see you prosper.
Right. The main thing is this. I think, I hear people talk about being surrounded with people. I think we need to look for people. If we're going to look, first of all, I would suggest don't look for people. Mm-hmm. Decide to be the best you can be. Set standards. Because the problem we're having is there's a scripture that says, and they judging themselves by themselves and comparing themselves among themselves are not wise. All of us can find some people who we're better than. We all can. And if you do that, you can justify. And we start calling this guy I call Lisa. You know Lisa?
No, what does that mean?
Lisa is, I made him a person. Lisa don't do this. Lisa don't do that.
Oh, Lisa.
You always bring in Lisa.
I'm like, what?
We bring Lisa to the rescue.
Wow.
Lisa. So at least I thought we were trying to do the most.
Come on now.
So
wow.
It's a matter of challenging things. And like I said, then people start, well, you ain't perfect. None of us have perfected it.
People start getting mad.
But you have to let other people see you. You can't solve the problems you've created with the same mind that created them. Mm-hmm. So we need to let someone else. I long to have other eyes on me. Mm-hmm. When those opinions come up or whatever they are, all criticism to me is at least partially true. I decided that when I was a 19-year-old. No matter how you criticize me, there is truth in it. Mm-hmm. Now, if you call me arrogant, that means that something about my behavior comes across to you as arrogant, right? Mm-hmm. I will then ask myself why. Now, that doesn't mean I'm going to change. I'm not necessarily going to change because I may not be seeking to be arrogant, but I can understand how you would see it that way. There was a lot of people used to say, man, I still hear people, I can't stand LeBron James. Why? Because of confidence?
Wow.
He's so arrogant. But I think if you made $500 million and came from where he came from, you might be a little confident too. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. If you were getting the things done that they were getting done, you don't reach the higher levels without confidence. So, Mika, I want to say to everyone listening today,
Wow.
If you are going to grow, if you're going to lead, you are going to be seen as arrogant at times. And if you don't, if you're afraid of that quality, if you keep having to sink back in, you will never lead. You will never lead. You can't lead and fit in at the same time.
Mm.
They got mad at Moses. Moses was a meek man, but Moses, who we think he is, telling us what to do. Well, y'all wanted to follow him when he was doing miracles and trying to get you out of Egypt. And then the minute he got them out, everything became his fault. That's people, so don't put a lot into that. They don't mean it. They don't mean it. People are trying to make themselves feel better. They don't really mean anything against you. I'm learning. Don't take it personal. They just feel bad. If you do good things, especially if they come from where you come from, something in them is convicting them that they can do better. You follow me? And you came from where they came from. So they want to find a reason why you could do it and they can't. Or, oh, well, she just is. That's all. All it is,
Wow.
all it is she got privileges. All it is she got people that's helping her. Yeah, but you did what it took to get to the point where you had people that help you. Everyone on this planet that wants to do something has got people who will help them once they reach a certain level.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to get up to that level.
And also, people won't see, like, with me, they don't see the accountability. Like, everybody that I surround myself with now is holding me accountable.
Okay.
I have a motivational mixtape that I said I'm coming up with at the end of this month. One of my co-hosts was like, "What happened? Like, where's your like? What happened? What happened to the marketing? What happened to this?" I'm like, "It's still coming out." So they don't see, like, it's, man, there's so many people holding me accountable behind the scenes. So a lot of times the accountability is why I keep pushing. It's
Yeah.
like, that's why I don't give up, because I have people behind the scenes telling, like, what, where's the show at? You said you were going to do this. So that pushes me. I could
Right.
say, man, I don't care, like, what you got to say. I ain't going to do that. But their accountability, that means something to me, that people believe in me enough to even push me behind the scenes. So.
Right. And so we'll use even the people who do it for a critical reason. They're holding you accountable. Like Paul said one time, he said, some preach Christ to add to my bonds. In other words, some people are talking about Christ, but not because they believe in him. They are trying to discredit him and get him arrested. And what he said about it was this: it doesn't matter to me as long as they preach Christ. And you know what success, what people who really want to be noted, known, learn, all publicity is publicity, good or bad. You can either be you can either be known, you can either be, what is it, notorious, you could be notorious, you could be famous, or you could be infamous. Either way, you'll be known.
Wow.
The question is, what will you do with it? Yeah, famous or infamous, noted or notorious. I mean, notorious, it's the same thing. But it takes a lot of being internal. You have to go inside of yourself and remember, what is my purpose? I will never change them. It's my need in helping people is not to change them. It's to educate, educo, to draw out of them what is already in them. I can't give you anything. I can only try to bring out of you what God has put in you. Period. So if they walk away, it wasn't for me to do it. Maybe I'll plant a seed and someone else will do it later. But I had to learn, I'm not the one when people say, well, when I preach, I'm not gonna make a lot of noise and get you excited and have you jumping up and running around the room. I want to give you sustained energy that you can take through the week, not a Sunday afternoon that dies on Monday morning.
Wow.
Yeah.
Ah,
So that's what we're working on.
I never
Every
thought
day.
about it. Wow.
When people make a commitment to me, I make a commitment to them. And sometimes I make more of a commitment to them than they want. That's the truth. Because I start thinking about all the areas of their life and I start working with them in those areas, and sometimes they don't want that much attention. Yeah. I just want life to be better for all of us, because that's what gives purpose to my life.
Mm-hmm.
That's what keeps me going. It can always be better. For those of you, when you think it's going good, it can be better.
It can.
It can be better. Shamika, some of us who think we have arrived, we have to understand there's not an end. We just came from so far down that by the time we reach here, a lot of the people who knew us think we got too much. You follow me? But compared to what God has for us,
Man.
because eyes have not seen,
Come on now.
heard, neither has it entered into the mind of man the things that God has prepared for us. So we have to keep going and trust that the challenges that we face are for something to bring something out of us that makes life better and better. Yeah.
I got two more questions for you. It just was so good. I'm sorry, Miss Carr. I ended up going over a little bit, but I was just, man, this was good. So my first question is, how can someone's wanting a transformation, which is, I'll post it in the description after this live, but how can they reach you?
How can they reach me? First, phone number. And I don't know if I regret this one or not, but 901-240-8739. 901-240-8739. And now, of course, those phone calls, those initial phone calls are going to be short. Some people I may have to say, hey, I acknowledge your call. Now we're going to set a time to talk at this time. I usually will give people about 15 or 20 minutes when I first talk to them to kind of get an idea of what they want to do. The meetings we do are held at 858 Airs. They are open to the public. For anybody that's concerned, we do operate like a church, so we do accept offerings and tithes and whatnot, but we do not pass an offering plate. Never have in 30 years. Have not had to, because the people we deal with understand prosperity, and once they learn the law of reciprocity, you do not have to tell them to give. Trust me, it is more blessed to give than to receive. Just at a side note, the first thing that people want to do when they get a lot of money is go buy the bar or the club. You do. They want to show everybody or make it rain or whatever they call it. You know.
I don't even know anymore. That was years ago, but I don't.
But I'm saying the point that I'm making is, when people really get something, they really want to demonstrate their ability to give. That's what makes them feel good.
Wow. They just do it in different ways.
And if you would start learning how to give, you would increase what you are able to give. Yeah. You get better at whatever you practice. You get better at whatever you practice. If you learn to practice giving, you'll learn to, and obviously you're going to have more unless you're messing up. You're going to have more to give more, right? That's how God works. The more you give, the more he gives. But anyway, the meetings are at 858 Airs, 8:30 on Sunday morning. I'm usually start speaking about 9. They are live stream. There is a link on the Word Awakening Ministries Facebook page where you can click on that live stream and you can pick us up. We will give a phone number. Usually it's the same number. Sometimes it'll be a little different during those meetings to where you can text in questions.
Mm-hmm.
And we deal with as much as we can during that time. Interestingly enough, we don't get a whole lot of questions. Hopefully that means because during that time I'm being so thorough that I'm answering most of the questions. But there's a meeting on Monday morning. It's on telephone, the self-esteem conference call.
And I'll post that number. And I didn't know that you wanted to. So you do want me to post your number in the thing, in the description as well, or just the number to the self-esteem call?
It really does not matter.
Okay.
I mean, my number is out there for most things, so I don't really care who calls. It's on most of the things that I do, so it's not a problem. One thing I learned, Shamika, I'm responsible for saying what I need to say to you, whether I stay on the phone or not.
Wow.
All these people calling, but they're calling your phone, so you didn't have to answer it. You could have let it go to voicemail. I take responsibility for that. So it's not their fault if they want to reach me, and those who really want to will. On Tuesday nights, 7:00, 8:58 airs. We are here live. I do teach. I'll teach, but during the teaching, we take questions. I always take questions. So what I would say to most people, I used to tell them, people saying they want help, I tell them first, make the effort to come to the meetings. The live stream is good, but the more you make the physical effort to do things in life, the more you develop self-esteem and confidence in yourself. The Bible says that without faith, it is impossible to please God. For they that come to him must believe that he is, and that he is a rewarder of them that diligently seek him. Mm-hmm. We've got to stop this passive way of minimalizing. Most people want to do as little as possible. I appreciate like how you dress to do this. I could have, and being honest, when I got ready to get dressed, even though I had some things to do, I wasn't going to put on a full-blown suit. I thought about your dress code. Always go through the trouble of dressing.
I'm thankful that you noticed that.
Yeah.
Because, my eyes will get bucked. Like some people, I thought about sending out an email, which I'm probably going to do because a couple of people about it, I'm like, but I didn't say, yeah, it's a dress code, you guys. So you got to come. Because it's I believe in representation. Representation matters. Some people don't get to see, African American people who dress nice. Like we gotta start showing it really matters. It does something, like you said previously, when you see something, whether bad or good, it stays in your subconscious. So
and when you go through that trouble as an individual, it does something for you. Mm-hmm. It does something for you. Go through the trouble of looking good. Mm-hmm. Not necessarily everybody may not wear a suit, but go through the trouble of grooming and looking good. So, like I said, we're available during those times. You have the phone number, you have the meetings. Now, I'm working on this thing where some of you may be interested. I've run across a lot of people because I do some contracting. I run across people who want to build their own home because I've done that. Built a house or more than one, or guided people through it. But I'm finding that there are a lot of people coming into it that don't know the process. They don't know about the banking, about the loans, the acquiring of land, the building process. And so I'm putting together a class where I'm going to teach people how to do that, because I promote them having some ownership. One of the things that bothers me is I see so many of our people making money, but they're not buying anything substantial with it. And land is not going anywhere. And I know so many people making $100,000 or more a year, but not knowing how to pay taxes, not knowing how to record the income, not knowing how to get to the bank and use the bank's money and buy property and get invest. And they're all looking for shortcuts. And the shortcuts are running out because the real estate is getting more and more expensive. So there's so many things that people need to know. So I want to teach.
I would definitely be enrolled in that class because
I want to teach people because I had somebody bring me one the other day was, I want this and I want this. And yeah, okay, you brought me $1 million plan. And in their mind, they're thinking, well, this can be, well, let me show you. It can be done. I will never tell anyone. No, you're not going to be, no, you can do it. But let me show you what you're actually looking at. And so I'm wanting to answer those questions for a lot of people. How do I get a bank loan? What do I need to do to prepare? These are the goals I'm saying. Because see, a lot of these people are dreaming. I got a dream home. Okay, but a lot of people could have their dream home in 1.5 years if they would just put a plan together. Instead of giving somebody $2,300 a month for rent to look like they have their dream home, when the mortgage would actually be less.
But you spoke of it previously, having a plan, but now, even with me saying my one area impacted my whole life, that not having a plan will impact you in every area of your life. Home ownership, your goal, like personal goals, personal development. It's crazy how one thing can impact everything.
Absolutely. And so that's what we're working on, to help people develop a plan and be patient with themselves. It'll speed up later. See, you'll start off slow, but we can make changes in 2 years that will redeem 10 years of messing up. Yeah. You'll be amazed how quickly you can get ahead once we take the time to put things in place.
And when is this class? When is the class?
Now that's what I'm saying. I have not said it yet.
Determined.
I will let you know. We did one something like this at Decal's Barbershop, which was Chris Wooten actually sponsored it. He was over on Mendenhall. We did one there a couple of months ago. And I got a little positive response, but it let me know that more of it needs to be done, because I've been getting calls from people who want to know how to deal with getting work done, how to deal with fixing up their houses, how to make deals and spend the money and not get beat. All of that is a concern to me. For the people who are involved in my ministry, they'll tell you I get so upset with them if they go and do something and somebody beats them out of some money and they don't ask me. And it was something I could have helped with. Even though they don't want to sometimes call me on the front end because they, well, man, he gonna grill you about it. But we're gonna put you, we're gonna take you out, we're gonna put you even in the fire if they let it happen and didn't ask me, and they could have, and I could have helped them. Because I want to help. I don't want to see people be getting beat. The people who support the ministry, even though they're giving God's tithes as God's money, I look at it this way. I need to put them in the best position possible if they're going to be able to continue to support me. They need to prosper more than I do. I definitely want them to have more than I have. And I'll do my best to do that at all times. So we're working to help people have sustainable wealth, to have a quality of life, not just live a long time. They're saying that they're able to keep people, scientifically, they're able to keep people alive longer. Yeah, but sometimes they're keeping them alive sick and broke. They're just staying around to struggle longer. That's not what we want. That's not what God intended. We want you to stay around, and we want you to have quality. from youth all the way to old age. And we're ready to answer questions all the time. So I will let you know when that class is. I'm trying to format it so that I'll know what to teach, what the curriculum will be, even though I'm going to open the floor for any questions.
Mm-hmm.
The best way I believe for me to teach is, I don't know what people don't know exactly. So until they ask a question, I don't really know what to answer. I have answers, and then they need to have the patience to be ready to say, well, I know you're asking your question here, but I'm going to have to take you back a few steps to bring you up to here so that you'll be solid. If you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
That's going to be good. And last question. So, in one word, how would you describe your teaching style?
Direct.
That's a perfect answer.
Mm-hmm. Direct.
That's a perfect answer.
That's the same way I would like to describe my life. Direct.
Yeah, he ain't lying. But thank you so much, Mr. Crawford, for joining us on Dear Shamika, the podcast. Stick around. I'm going to end this live. We'll see you guys later.
All right.
But you stick around. I'm about to end it.
Got you. Thanks, guys.